Our inspiration today is Yayoi Kusama. She is a Japanese artist. She's a contemporary artist. She works mostly with sculpture and installations. So these rooms are installations that she's made for people to walk through. She has pop art inspirations, and she does work all over the world. For our project today, we're going to look at her pumpkins. She does installations of pumpkins, and they're really, really interesting. So we're going to make our own Yayoi Kusama pumpkin today. All right, guys, we've just learned about Yayoi Kusama, the Japanese artist. Now we get to make our own Kusama-inspired pumpkins. So we're going to start with our orange piece of paper. I have this paper that kind of helps us with how to draw a pumpkin, so I'm going to set that over here while I'm drawing, and you guys will have one as well to help you. So you can see the first step just kind of lays out the shape of your pumpkin. So I'm going to start with this kind of a square shape with like rounded corners. I'm going to try to make that as big as I can on my paper. I want my pumpkin to be really large on my paper. And I'm of course starting with a pencil. So I can kind of get everything right before I jump in with my Sharpie. Then, and I know it's probably hard for you guys to see, but in a minute you guys will see me use my Sharpie. So I'm going to then kind of figure out where I want that center shape to be, because pumpkins have like those different sections, right? Those kind of little sections. So I'm kind of laying that out. I don't know if you guys can see my pencil lines, but I'm kind of being really sketchy and messy while I'm trying to figure this out. Now I can kind of, you can see this top part has a little curve to make room for the stem. I'm going to erase this part since I wanted it a little wider. And then I can draw my stem. Now guys, think of things in simple shapes. So the stem is a curved line that kind of comes up and over. A curved line comes up and over, and then at the end is a little oval, okay? Don't make anything harder than it needs to be. And what's kind of nice about pumpkins is they're kind of all, you know, they're wonky and stuff anyway, so it's okay if it's not perfect. It actually looks a little bit more realistic if it's not perfect, right? Because pumpkins aren't just like perfect ovals and circles, right? So I even kind of like that this example has these lines a little bit wavy, so it looks more like a realistic pumpkin. So you can see now that I'm drawing my second shapes, and the bottom of your pumpkin should kind of have these jumping lines almost, because that makes it look more three-dimensional, 3D. All right, I'm not sure if you can see where my little sketch is, but it's looking really great, so I think I'm ready to jump in with my Sharpie. All right, and of course I'm gonna go through and erase any pencil lines I still see. Okay, my pumpkin's looking good. Now it's ready for us to add those signature Yayoi Kusama designs. So I'll set that one aside and we'll grab our idea sheets. Here it is. So if you'd like, you can draw your ideas with a pencil. I'm gonna just go ahead and start off with my Sharpie because I know that it's hard to see my pencil lines on the video. But if you're more comfortable starting with a pencil, that's totally fine with me. So these are broken up into different sides, but you don't have to follow that. If you want to do one of these designs for your center and one of these designs for your sides, that's fine. But this just is a really great paper for kind of giving you ideas. And then of course, if you want to come up with your own ideas, you can do that as well. So we're going to start with our black. We want all of these designs to be in black, and then we will shade our pumpkin to be more of that realistic pumpkin color. So I kind of like these eyes here. I think I might do that one in my center. Okay, now I get to decide what I want for this middle shapes, the in-between shapes. Now guys, you can see that I'm kind of tending towards making mine symmetrical, and remember, symmetrical means the same on both sides. So mine's looking a little more like this one, where it's the same on both sides, and even these two are also symmetrical. But you could also do what this one is doing. There we go. What this one is doing, and just use a bunch of different designs and make it all wacky and all over the place. I love that one too. Super fun. So you guys get to decide how you're going to do yours. Now I have 2 more spaces left. I need to decide what I'm going to do. All right, so my designs are all done. Now it's time to add our shading. So I'm gonna get out my colored pencils, a red color, a deep red. This says mahogany, or just like normal red would work. An orange, a yellow, a dark green, a light green, and maybe a brown. So about 6 colors. Okay, these 3 are for our pumpkin, these 3 are for our stem. So we want to add that shadow on our pumpkin. So we're going to start with, I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to start with our red. Now, you have to kind of remember that this is supposed to be a 3-dimensional round pumpkin. So where would the light hit? Where would the light hit on a 3-dimensional pumpkin? Let's say the sun is up in the sky, or the light's coming from the sun up in the sky. It would probably hit on the tops of our pumpkin and then on the outside edges of these round spots. So next to our lines, which would be like the shadows, we need our darkest color, which is our red. So to make our shadows, I'm gonna use my normal red. So right next to the lines, I draw really hard with my pencil and make it really, really dark red right next to those lines. And then as I come outwards, I press lighter and lighter and lighter to kind of make a gradient, if you know what that word means. A gradient means something that goes from darker to lighter to lighter. And I like to kind of make the bottom of this the most shadowed and kind of make my red come up higher. Okay, so I hope you guys can see that. Right over here towards the edge, I press really hard and make it really dark, and then I press lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter until I just kind of stop pressing altogether. Then, right on top of where I started pressing pretty light with my red, I'm going to take my orange and start doing the same thing. So I'm going to press kind of hard with my orange over top of that edge of my red, and then press lighter and lighter. And the orange will be a little harder to see since it's orange paper. That's okay. And then right in the center, again, I'm going to make my orange come up a little bit more. And then right in the very center should be some yellow as our highlight, especially up here at the top. All right, that's looking really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna do that to the other three. Okay, so this side is done. You guys can see just how much more realistic and 3D it makes your pumpkin look to add the shading. So I'm gonna go on and do the other side as well. All right, now it's time to shade our stem. And it's kind of the same idea. I'm going to start with the darkest color on the outside. And kind of towards the bottom. And then go lighter and lighter as I go towards the center. I don't go too far in with the brown because I want it to be mostly green, I think. I'm even going to kind of color over my brown with the green to kind of make it a brownish green. And then in the very center, bright green for our highlight. All right, there is my pumpkin complete. Now it's time to work on our background. There's lots of background ideas that you can do. This is a bunch of them. And then there's also example pages to show you how to do different infinity nets on your background. So I'll get my background out. Now keep in mind, I'm going to cut my pumpkin out and glue it onto my background. So I don't really need to do this middle part, but I need to make sure that I definitely do the edges, okay? So I think I'm gonna do this infinity net, this kind of like star looking one. And then I can pick out what color metallic marker I'm gonna use. And you can always kind of test them out on the back of your paper. Ooh, love that one. I think I'm gonna do that one. You can test them out on the back of your paper to kind of see what color it is gonna be and what it looks like, because sometimes the metallic ones, you don't really know until you put it on there. So for this one, it says I start with kind of a little snowflake shape, and then I turn them into triangles. And then I start another star. So they look kind of difficult, I know, but they are not too tricky once you kind of get the hang of it. Okay, so I kind of have this blank space in the middle, but that's okay. Now it's time to cut my pumpkin out and glue it onto my background. All right, then I'm gonna put some dots of glue on the back. Stick it on my paper. All right, guys, there is my awesome finished Yayoi Kusama pumpkin. I'm so proud of it. I think the shading really makes it pop. I love the metallic marker on the black background. This just looks really, really fun. I can't wait to see how yours turns out.